structural integrity at 30%. The ship's computer announced with mechanical indifference as another chunk of space rock slammed into the research vessel's shields. Dr. Amanda Rhodes gripped her console tighter, violet eyes fixed on the sensor readings that had drawn her into this deadly dance through the graveyard. The asteroid field had earned its ominous nickname honestly. Hundreds of derelict ships, some dating back to humanity's first stumbling steps into space, drifted eternally among the tumbling rocks. Most synorchaeologists avoided the graveyard, claiming the scientific value wasn't worth the risk. But Amanda wasn't most synorchaeologists. "Doctor, we need to turn back," Lieutenant Park called from the helm, his knuckles white against the manual controls. These readings could be anything. Sensor ghosts, radiation artifacts. "They're not." Amanda cut him off, making minute adjustments to their trajectory. "The quantum signature is too precise. Whatever's out there, it's surrounded by a temporal stasis field that shouldn't exist for another 1,000 years. The lieutenant muttered something that might have been a prayer as their ship, the Curiosity, threaded between two slowly colliding asteroids. The gap was narrow enough that Amanda could see the ancient impact craters on their surfaces through the bridge viewport. "Contact, bearing 035. The sensor officer's voice cracked with excitement. "Mass readings consistent with a capital ship, but that can't be right." Amanda was already moving, bringing up the feed on her personal display. Her breath caught in her throat. There, nestled in a relatively clear pocket of space, hung an impossible sight. A pristine dreadnought of human design, its hull unmarred by time or battle. "Cross-reference the configuration with historical records," she ordered, though she already knew what they'd find. She'd spent her career studying this particular ship. Match found. HS Prometheus, Hyperion-class dreadnought. Last recorded contact, June 15, 2789, during the Battle of Proxima Centauri. The computer paused. Ship status. Missing in action, presumed destroyed with all hands. Amanda felt a chill run down her spine. The Prometheus was legendary, the flagship that vanished at the height of humanity's first interstellar war, taking with it any hope of victory against the Vraxian Empire. Its disappearance had forced humanity to sue for peace, accepting terms that still stung centuries later. "Take us in closer," she ordered. Full sensor sweep. As they approached, the ship's true scale became apparent. The Prometheus was massive, nearly 2 kilometers from bow to stern, its angular hull bristling with weapon emplacements that put modern warships to shame. But it was the subtle details that caught Amanda's trained eye. The quantum lock data crystals visible through the bridge windows, the strange geometric patterns etched into the hull plating. "This is impossible," Lieutenant Park breathed. "That technology, some of these systems don't even exist in theoretical papers yet." "No," Amanda corrected him. "They don't exist in public theoretical papers." She activated the ship-wide comm. "All hands, prepare for boarding operations. Whatever happened to the Prometheus, whatever drove its crew to hide it here, we're about to find out." As her team began suiting up, Amanda studied the sensor readings more closely. The temporal stasis field surrounding the Dreadnought was like nothing she'd ever seen, a perfect bubble of frozen time that had preserved the ship in the exact state it had been when it vanished. But there was something else, something in the field's quantum signature that suggested it wasn't just meant to preserve. It was meant to wait. The Galactic Council would dismiss this discovery, of course. They always did. In their eyes, humanity was still the new kid on the block, barely worth noticing except as a source of cheap labor and raw materials. But Amanda knew better. The Prometheus wasn't just a relic of a lost war. It was proof that humanity's past held secrets that could reshape the future. As she sealed her EVA suit and headed for the airlock, Amanda couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't just making history. They were about to uncover it. And somewhere in the darkness of the ancient dreadnought, something stirred, awakening from a centuries-long slumber. The magnetic boots of Amanda's EVA suit clanked against the Prometheus's hull as she led her team toward the primary airlock. Ancient emergency lights still pulsed weakly along the ship's flanks, casting eerie blue shadows across their path. "Engineering team, report status," she called through the comm system, her breath slightly fogging her helmet's visor. "Dr. Rhodes, you need to see this," Chief Engineer Martinez replied, his voice tight with excitement. "The ship's power core. It's still running. Not just running, it's operating at full capacity. These energy readings don't match anything in our database." Amanda paused at the airlock's control panel, brushing away crystallized debris. "That's impossible. Even minimal power draw should have drained the reserves centuries ago." "Tell that to the readings." Martinez transmitted the data to her helmet display. "Whatever's powering this ship, it's not using any energy source we know of." The airlock's external panel responded to her touch, ancient systems whirring to life. Amanda held her breath, expecting resistance, but the massive door slid open with surprising smoothness. The ship's internal atmosphere had been perfectly preserved by the stasis field. "Security team, you're up," she ordered, stepping aside as Captain Sarah Wells and her Marines moved forward, weapons ready. Standard procedure for boarding derelict vessels, especially ones that had disappeared under mysterious circumstances. The security team's lights cut through the darkness of the airlock chamber. "Clear," Wells reported after a moment. "But Doctor, you should see these markings. They're not standard military insignias." Amanda moved forward, examining the strange geometric patterns etched into the airlock's inner walls. They were similar to the ones she'd spotted on the hull, but more complex. Not decoration. They were too precise, too intentional. Their equations, she realized, running her gloved hand along the intricate lines. Mathematical formulas, but unlike anything I've ever seen. They're describing space-time mechanics. A low hum began to build throughout the ship, rising from subsonic to a distinct vibration they could feel through their boots. Emergency lights flickered to life along the corridors, revealing more equations carved into every surface. "Movement detected on the bridge," Wells reported sharply. "Security systems are activating." Blast doors began sliding shut along the corridor ahead of them. Amanda sprinted forward, diving through the narrowing gap with Wells close behind. The rest of the team was cut off, trapped in the airlock chamber. "Team status," Amanda demanded, rolling to her feet. "We're fine, Doctor," Martinez replied. "But something's scanning us. Wait, the ship's computer is powering up." The bridge doors at the end of the corridor slid open invitingly. Amanda and Wells exchanged glances through their helmet visors. "Could be a trap," Wells muttered. "Could be answers," Amanda countered, already moving forward. The bridge was a marvel of engineering, far more advanced than the historical records suggested. Holographic displays sparked to life as they entered, showing star charts, weapon systems, and data streams that made Amanda's head spin. A soft blue light pulsed from the central command console, coalescing into a holographic interface. The ship's artificial intelligence was awakening, but not like any eye Amanda had ever encountered. This wasn't just a computer. It was something far more sophisticated. "Welcome, Dr. Amanda Rhodes." The eye's voice was eerily human, neither male nor female. "We have been waiting for someone worthy of our trust. Though I must admit, we expected it would take humanity longer to find us." Wells raised her weapon, but Amanda held up a hand. "You know who I am. We have been monitoring human progress through quantum entanglement receivers. Your work on temporal mechanics and ethical applications of advanced technology caught our attention." The eye's form shifted like liquid light. "The Prometheus did not disappear, Dr. Rhodes. We chose to hide, to protect something far more dangerous than any weapon." What could be so dangerous that an entire crew would choose to vanish from history? Amanda asked, though part of her already suspected the answer. The eye's response sent chills down her spine. The truth about humanity's place in the universe, and the price of knowledge that comes too soon. Behind them, the ship's ancient engines began to power up, responding to a threat that had waited centuries to resurface. The Galactic Council's emergency session erupted into chaos as the holographic projections displayed the Prometheus's technological specifications. Amanda stood at the center of the vast chamber, surrounded by representatives of 200 alien species, all shouting accusations in their native tongues. Impossible. The Vraxian ambassador's translucent scales flashed crimson with rage. These systems are beyond even our theoretical understanding. Humanity must have stolen this technology. The quantum drive configuration alone is centuries ahead of modern science, muttered a Zenith Authority scientist, their crystalline form refracting light in patterns of disbelief. How could humans have achieved this level of advancement over 3 centuries ago? Amanda maintained her composure, though her heart raced. Above her, the massive hologram showed the Prometheus's engine core, a sphere of impossible mathematics that seemed to bend reality around itself. The ship's AI had granted her access to these files just before the Galactic Council's peacekeeping fleet had arrived to secure the discovery. "The evidence is clear," she stated, her voice cutting through the din. "Every component bears the marks of human manufacturing. The quantum signature of the materials matches Earth's solar forges. But more importantly," she gestured, and a hologram shifted to show historical records. "We chose to abandon these technologies." The chamber fell silent. The Prometheus's databanks tell a different story about the Vraxian War. Amanda continued. "Our defeat wasn't due to technological inferiority. It was a deliberate choice." The ship's AI interface manifested beside her, its presence commanding attention. "Show them," Amanda whispered. The hologram transformed, displaying a recording from 2789. The Prometheus's original captain appeared, his uniform bearing scorch marks from battle. "This will be our final transmission," he announced. "We've discovered something that changes everything. The quantum reality manipulators we developed. They don't just bend space-time. They can break it. One ship with this technology could unmake entire star systems. We can win this war in a day, but the cost." He shook his head. "Some victories aren't worth the price. Some knowledge needs time to be understood." The recording shifted, showing scenes that made even the most hardened council members recoil. Test footage of weapons that didn't just destroy matter, they'd erased it from existence. Experimental drives that could turn planets inside out. Power sources that tapped into the fundamental forces of reality itself. "Humanity didn't lose the war," Amanda explained. "We chose to step back from an apocalyptic precipice. The Prometheus wasn't hidden to preserve its weapons, but to serve as a warning about the responsibility that comes with power." "A convenient story," the Vraxian ambassador sneered, "but it doesn't explain why this ship has reawakened now." As if in answer, emergency alerts began blaring throughout the council chamber. The main display switched to a live feed from the Carina sector. A spatial anomaly was forming, a tear in the fabric of reality itself. "Because someone else found our old research," Amanda said grimly. "The quantum signature matches the Prometheus's drive technology. Someone has been experimenting with forces they don't understand." The council chamber erupted again, but this time in panic. The anomaly was growing, threatening to engulf entire star systems. "We need the Prometheus's technology to stop this," the Zenith scientist insisted. Amanda shook her head. "No. We need its wisdom. The ship wasn't preserved to give us back these weapons. It was waiting for the moment we'd need to remember why we locked them away." The AI's holographic form pulsed with approval as Amanda accessed another set of files. Not weapon schematics, but detailed records of how humanity had developed safeguards and containment protocols for quantum reality manipulation. "The Prometheus doesn't represent humanity's capacity for destruction," she declared. "It represents our capacity for restraint. And right now, that's exactly what the galaxy needs." As if to emphasize her point, another alert sounded. The anomaly had doubled in size. They were running out of time to prove that humanity's greatest achievement wasn't the power they'd gained, but the wisdom they'd shown in giving it up. "Multiple contacts," Lieutenant Park's voice crackled through the Prometheus's newly activated comm system. 3 Vraxian destroyers dropping out of hyperspace on our port side. Zenith Authority cruisers approaching from starboard. Amanda's fingers flew across the ancient command console as she initiated emergency power protocols. The massive Dreadnought hummed to life around them, its systems responding with an elegance that made modern ships feel clumsy in comparison. "They're not here to talk," Captain Wells observed grimly, studying the tactical display. "Vraxian weapon systems are hot, and those Zenith ships are deploying interdiction fields." The ship's AI projected a strategic overlay, highlighting possible escape vectors. "The temporal stasis field has fully dissipated," it reported. "We have access to all systems, but full combat capabilities would risk catastrophic damage to local spacetime." "We're not here to fight," Amanda reminded them, though the weapons controls beckoned temptingly. "Plot a course through the asteroid field. Let's show them why they called these ships ghost dancers during the war." The Prometheus surged forward, its quantum drive engaging with barely a whisper. Behind them, the pursuing ships launched their first volley of plasma torpedoes. The ancient Dreadnought's point defense grid activated automatically, swatting the incoming fire from space with practiced ease. "They're trying to box us in," Wells warned. "Zenith ships are generating a gravity well ahead of us." Amanda allowed herself a small smile. "Exactly what I was hoping for. Everyone, secure yourselves. This is going to get interesting." She directed power to the ship's experimental drive system, not the weapons-grade quantum manipulators, but something far more subtle. Space seemed to ripple around the Prometheus as they accelerated toward the gravity well. "Dr. Rhodes," the AI cautioned, "this maneuver has a 47% chance of tearing the ship apart, but a 53% chance of working." Amanda countered. "Sometimes the best defense is to do something so crazy no one expects it." The Prometheus hit the gravity well at full speed. For a moment, the massive ship seemed to stretch like taffy as conflicting gravitational forces fought for control. Amanda felt her stomach lurch as reality twisted around them. Then, with a flash of quantum energy, they were through, leaving their pursuers firing at a ghost image, while the real ship slipped away through a fold in space they'd created. "That's impossible," one of the Zenith commanders broadcast on all frequencies. "No drive system can generate that kind of spatial distortion without." Their transmission cut off as the pursuing ships realized what had happened. The Prometheus hadn't just escaped. It had used their own gravity well as a lens to create a localized time dilation field. To the pursuers, the Dreadnought appeared to be moving in slow motion, when in reality it was accelerating away at full speed. "Damage report," Amanda called out, her hands still steady on the controls despite their near brush with molecular disassembly. "Minor structural stress throughout all decks," the AI responded. "But Dr. Rhodes, the quantum wake from our maneuver has had an unexpected effect." The main view screen shifted, showing a cascade of temporal distortions spreading out from their jump point. Like cracks in a windshield, they were propagating through space-time itself. "The anomaly in the Carina sector," Amanda realized. "It's resonating with our quantum wake. Someone out there isn't just experimenting with the old technology. They're actively trying to replicate it, and doing a poor job of it," Wells added, watching the distortions grow. "Those patterns, they're following the same mathematical progression as the equations carved into the ship's walls." "Because they're working from incomplete data," the AI confirmed. "The Prometheus contains more than just advanced technology. It holds the complete understanding of how to safely manipulate quantum reality. Without that knowledge, any attempt to replicate our systems will only accelerate the breakdown of spacetime." Amanda studied the spreading distortions with growing concern. "Then we're not just running from the Council. We're racing against time itself. The question is, where do we go when every major power in the galaxy is hunting us?" The AI's holographic form flickered thoughtfully. "Perhaps it's not about where we go, but when. The Prometheus has one more secret that even the original crew never discovered, a temporal sanctuary built into its very structure. But accessing it will require us to trust each other completely. Behind them, more ships were appearing on the long-range sensors. The hunt was far from over, and their next move would determine not just their fate, but the fate of space-time itself. The temporal sanctuary within the Prometheus turned out to be a vast chamber deep within the ship's quantum core. Holographic displays lined the walls, showing snippets of time like windows into the past. Amanda watched in awe as scenes from the Vraxian War played out around them. These aren't recordings, she realized, studying the incredible detail. They're actual temporal echoes, preserved in quantum crystal matrices. The ship's AI manifested Decider. Correct. The Prometheus didn't just fight in the war. It observed on a quantum level. Every battle, every decision, every moment was analyzed for patterns that even the crew didn't understand at the time. Captain Wells stepped through a hologram showing the Battle of Proxima Centauri. But why? What were they looking for? Not what? Amanda murmured, her eyes widening as the patterns became clear. Who? Computer cross-referenced these battle formations with known tactical databases. The holograms shifted, overlapping with ghostly images from conflicts spanning thousands of years. The patterns were identical, not just similar, but mathematically perfect matches. Impossible, Wells breathed. These battles, they're the same. Different species, different technologies, but the same strategic patterns repeating across millennia. The AI's form pulsed with approval. Now you begin to understand. The Vraxian War wasn't a natural conflict. It was engineered. An experiment designed by beings who viewed entire civilizations as laboratory specimens. The precursors, Amanda said, the pieces finally falling into place. Everyone thinks they vanished months ago, but they didn't leave. They just stepped back to watch. New holograms materialized, showing vast structures hidden in dimensional pockets throughout the galaxy. Observation posts, monitoring stations, data collection arrays, all designed to be invisible to less advanced civilizations. The Prometheus's crew discovered the truth by accident. The AI explained. A quantum scanning anomaly during the Battle of Centauri revealed one of their observation posts. When they investigated, they found evidence of the greatest experiment in galactic history. The temporal echoes coalesced into a single display, showing how the precursors had subtly manipulated various species, guiding their technological development along different paths. Some were pushed toward aggressive expansion, others toward defensive isolation. Each civilization was a variable in their grand equation. The Vraxians were encouraged to develop weapons that could crack planets, Amanda noted, watching their history unfold, while humanity was secretly nudged toward quantum manipulation technology. A controlled experiment, Wells realized. They wanted to see which approach would produce the most advanced civilization. But humanity did something unexpected. The AI brought up footage from the Prometheus's original crew. When they discovered the power they'd developed, they chose not to use it. Not out of fear or weakness, but out of wisdom. Amanda watched as the original captain made his final log entry, explaining their decision to hide the ship. "We could win this war," he said, "but the cost would be our humanity." Sometimes the most powerful choice is to step back from power itself. The precursors never anticipated that response, the AI confirmed. A species choosing ethical development over technological supremacy disrupted their entire experimental model. New alerts flashed across the displays. The temporal distortions in the Carina sector were growing worse, threatening to tear apart the fabric of space-time itself. But someone found their research, Wells said grimly. Someone who doesn't share humanity's restraint. Amanda studied the tactical displays, watching as more ships joined the pursuit of the Prometheus. The precursors were wrong, she declared. They thought advancement could be measured in destructive potential. But humanity proved there's something more powerful than the ability to destroy. The wisdom to choose not to, the AI agreed. Which is why the Prometheus was preserved. Not just to protect its technology, but to remind humanity of the choice they made. And why they made it. A massive temporal shockwave rippled through space, nearly buckling the ship's quantum shields. Time was running out, and somewhere out there, someone was trying to replicate humanity's most dangerous discovery without understanding the responsibility that came with it. The hunt for the Prometheus had become more than a chase. It was a race to prevent history from repeating itself, this time with consequences that could unravel the universe itself. The Galactic Council's emergency chamber hummed with nervous energy as Amanda initiated the quantum projection sequence. The Prometheus, still pursued by a fleet of warships, transmitted its evidence directly into the vast hall's holographic systems. Distinguished members of the Council, Amanda began, her voice steady despite the chaos of the past few hours. What you're about to see will challenge everything you believe about humanity's technological development. The chamber's lights dimmed as the first projection materialized, a perfect reconstruction of Earth's solar system from 3 centuries ago. Massive orbital structures appeared around several planets, construction yards and research facilities that had been carefully erased from history. Humanity didn't just stumble into space, Amanda explained. By 2789, we had mastered technologies that your civilizations are only now theorizing about. She gestured, and a hologram shifted to show a demonstration of antimatter manipulation on a scale that made several council members gasp. Entire asteroid fields were transformed into complex molecular structures with perfect precision. Our quantum consciousness transfer networks allowed instant communication across light years, she continued. As new images appeared, we developed limited time control, allowing us to see multiple potential futures and choose the wisest path. The Vraxian ambassador rose from his seat, scales flickering with agitation. If you possessed such power, why accept defeat? Why live centuries under our dominion? Amanda smiled sadly. Computer, show them Project Oracle. The hologram transformed into a vast mathematical model, a prediction engine of unprecedented complexity. It displayed thousands of potential futures branching out from the moment of the Prometheus's disappearance. In every scenario where we used our full technological capability, Amanda explained, victory led to devastating consequences, not just for the Vraxians, but for all life in the galaxy. The projection showed timeline after timeline, where humanity's quantum weapons triggered chain reactions through spacetime itself. Entire sectors of the galaxy collapsed into temporal singularities. Civilizations were erased from history. Reality itself began to unravel. We didn't choose to hide our technology out of weakness, Amanda declared. We chose to seal it away because we understood something fundamental about power. The most advanced civilization isn't the one with the most destructive capability. It's the one wise enough to step back from the precipice. As if to emphasize her point, another temporal shockwave rippled through the chamber's quantum sensors. The anomaly in the Carina sector was growing exponentially. Someone has discovered fragments of our old research, Amanda continued urgently. They're trying to replicate our quantum manipulation technology without understanding the safeguards we developed. Each failed attempt creates more cracks in the fabric of space-time. The council chamber erupted in panicked discussions as new data streamed in. The temporal distortions were spreading, threatening to tear apart the delicate web of reality that bound the galaxy together. The Prometheus wasn't preserved just to protect its secrets, Amanda said, raising her voice above the chaos. It was waiting for this moment, when the galaxy would need to understand why some knowledge must be earned slowly, not seized by force. The ship's AI manifested in the center of the chamber, its presence commanding immediate attention. Holographic displays showed the Prometheus's current situation, surrounded by hostile ships, yet making no move to use its superior weapons. We offer you a choice, Amanda announced. Continue hunting us, forcing us to demonstrate why our ancestors chose to hide this power, or work with us to contain a threat that could unravel everything we know. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. After centuries of dismissing humanity as technological primitives, the Council faced the humbling realization that humans had achieved, and willingly surrendered, power that dwarfed their greatest achievements. A new alert flashed across the displays. The temporal anomaly had begun affecting populated systems. They were out of time for debate. "Well," Amanda asked the stunned council members, "what's it going to be? Will you trust the species that chose wisdom over power? Or will you force us to prove why we made that choice in the first place?" The Prometheus dropped out of quantum space directly above the Carina sector's temporal anomaly. Through the main viewport, Amanda could see reality itself tearing apart, a massive void of swirling quantum energies that consumed light, matter, and even time itself. "Status report," she called out, gripping her console as another shockwave rocked the ship. 5 systems have already been erased from the timeline. Captain Wells responded, her face grim as she studied the tactical display. "The void is expanding exponentially. We've got maybe 3 hours before the damage becomes irreversible." The ship's AI projected a detailed analysis of the anomaly. At its heart, Amanda could see the signature of familiar technology, a crude attempt to replicate the Prometheus's quantum manipulation systems. Tracking the source, Lieutenant Park announced, "Energy signature is coming from there." He highlighted a massive space station almost completely hidden within the quantum distortions. Its Vraxian design, but heavily modified with stolen precursor technology. Amanda's blood ran cold as she recognized the station's energy patterns. "That's Director Ven's private research facility. He was on the council when we revealed the Prometheus's capabilities. And now he's trying to replicate them," Wells finished, without understanding the safeguards or caring about the consequences. The facility's defenses activated as they approached, experimental weapons that warped space itself around their energy beams. The Prometheus's quantum shields flickered but held. "Multiple contacts," Park warned. "Automated defense platforms, all armed with prototype quantum weapons. They're targeting our drive systems." Amanda watched as the void grew larger, its edges beginning to fray the very fabric of space-time. Each weapon's burst from the defense platforms created new micro-tiers in reality, feeding the anomaly's growth. "We can't fight them conventionally," she realized. "Every quantum energy discharge just makes the situation worse. Computer, show me the Prometheus's original specs. There has to be something we missed." The AI brought up detailed schematics, highlighting systems that even Amanda hadn't known existed. "The ship's primary function was never offensive," it explained. "The quantum manipulation technology was designed to heal reality, not break it." "Then why build it into a warship?" Wells asked, ducking as another temporal shockwave sent sparks flying from a nearby console. "Because sometimes the best way to stop a war isn't to win it," Amanda said, understanding dawning in her eyes. "It's to show why it should never have started. Computer, transfer power from weapons to the quantum stabilization array." The Prometheus's hull began to glow with a soft blue light as ancient systems activated. The ship's quantum field expanded, creating a bubble of stable space-time around them. "Director Ven," Amanda broadcast on all frequencies, "your experiments are tearing apart the fabric of reality itself. Stand down before." A massive energy beam from the station cut through space, barely missing the Prometheus. Where it passed, reality itself unraveled like torn fabric. "He's not going to listen," Wells said grimly. "Men like that never do." "Then we show him," Amanda decided. "Computer, prepare for temporal anchor deployment. Full power to the quantum stabilization fields." "Warning," the AI announced. "Using the stabilization system at full power could permanently burn out the Prometheus's quantum core. We would lose all access to this technology." Amanda smiled sadly. "Just like our ancestors intended. Sometimes the most powerful choice is choosing not to use power at all." The ship surged forward, its quantum fields expanding to create a sphere of pure, stable spacetime. Behind them, the combined fleet of the Galactic Council watched in awe as the ancient human Dreadnought flew directly into the heart of the void. "All hands, brace for temporal impact," Amanda called out. "We're about to remind the galaxy why humanity chose to hide this power in the first place." The Prometheus plunged deeper into the quantum storm, its systems straining as it prepared to demonstrate once again that the greatest strength isn't the ability to destroy reality. It's the wisdom to preserve it. Reality buckled around the Prometheus as it pushed deeper into the quantum void. On the bridge, emergency lights flashed as systems strained against forces they were never meant to contain. Hull integrity at 30%. Lieutenant Park shouted over the grinding of stressed metal. The quantum stabilization field is barely holding. Amanda's fingers danced across the ancient controls, making minute adjustments as they approached Director Ven's research station. Through the distorted space around them, she could see the facility's massive particle accelerators powering up for another burst. "He's going to fire again," Captain Wells warned. "One more shot could tear this whole sector apart." The ship's AI projected a tactical overlay, highlighting the facility's quantum signature. "The station's containment systems are failing. Director Ven's attempts to replicate our technology have created an unstable temporal reaction. If it continues, the cascade effect will spread throughout the galaxy." Amanda studied the readouts, seeing patterns in the chaos. The Prometheus wasn't built to fight this kind of battle, she realized. It was designed to prevent it. "Computer, show me the quantum harmonics of the void." The display shifted, revealing complex waveforms that pulsed with otherworldly energy. The temporal distortions weren't random. They followed mathematical patterns similar to the equations carved into the ship's walls. "Those aren't weapon schematics," Amanda breathed. "They're healing algorithms. Our ancestors didn't just discover how to break reality. They learned how to mend it." Another blast from the station rocked the ship, sending cascading failures through multiple systems. Through the quantum static, they heard Director Ven's voice. "You can't stop progress, Dr. Rhodes. Humanity had its chance at power. Now it's our turn to." His transmission cut off as the Prometheus's quantum field pulsed, expanding to encompass the research station. Amanda's hands moved with certainty now, inputting commands that felt more like music than mathematics. "All power to the stabilization array," she ordered. "Reroute everything. Weapons, shields, even life support if you have to. We're not here to fight." The ancient Dreadnought's hull began to glow with a brilliant blue light as its true purpose was finally unleashed. The quantum field resonated with the void itself, not fighting the chaos, but embracing it, guiding it, showing it the way back to harmony. "What's happening?" Wells asked, watching in awe as the temporal distortions began to sync with the Prometheus's pulse. "We're reminding the universe how to heal," Amanda explained. "The Prometheus isn't a weapon. It's a template for how reality should work. Our ancestors understood that power isn't about controlling nature. It's about understanding it well enough to restore its balance." On the tactical display, they watched as Director Ven's facility began to break apart, its unstable experiments finally collapsing under their own weight. But instead of creating more damage, the destruction was contained, guided, transformed by the Prometheus's quantum field into something new. "Temporal anomaly is collapsing," Park reported, his voice filled with wonder. "The void, it's healing itself." The ship shuddered as its ancient systems gave everything they had to complete the process. Panels exploded across the bridge as the quantum core pushed beyond its limits, but Amanda held steady. "This was always the choice," she said softly. "Not whether to use power, but how to use it wisely. Not whether to fight, but what to fight for." In the space around them, reality knit itself back together. The void closed like a healing wound, leaving behind only the memory of what almost was. The Prometheus's quantum core went dark, its power spent not in destruction, but in restoration. As emergency power came online, the main screen showed the gathered fleet of the Galactic Council watching in stunned silence. The ship's AI displayed one final message before its systems shut down. Now they understand. Amanda looked out at the healed space before them, at the galaxy that had come so close to unraveling. "No more weapons," she declared. "No more secrets. Just the wisdom to know when power isn't the answer." The Prometheus drifted silently, its greatest battle won not with superior firepower, but with the courage to choose a different path. In the end, humanity's greatest contribution to the galaxy wasn't the power they had hidden away. It was showing that true strength lies in knowing when not to use it at all. ###Epilogue. The Prometheus now rests in a special dock at the heart of the Galactic Council's capital, its quantum core dormant, but its lesson eternal. The equations carved into its halls are studied not as weapon schematics, but as reminders of the responsibility that comes with knowledge. And humanity, once dismissed as technological primitives, is now honored for achieving what no other species had managed: the wisdom to step back from power for the good of all. As Amanda often tells her students at the new Quantum Ethics Academy, the Prometheus didn't shape history by being the most powerful ship ever built. It shaped history by showing us when not to use that power at all.